On the top shelf, a tin costs 39 pence. Right beside it, a tin costs £1.20. Both say chopped tomatoes and both claim 99.9% tomatoes. One of them is 40% water. You will pay for that water, then you will pay again to boil it off. You will add paste, you will turn the gas up, you will wait longer. The tins are not the expensive ones. There are only 3 you can fix before you pay. 20 years ago, the tin was boring. It sat behind the beans, dented, trusted. You opened it and you got tomatoes. No story on the front, no Tuscan field, no Nonna smiling. Your mum made sauce and never read the back. The label has not changed, the law has. What counts as tomato in that tin has quietly shrunk. The tin still says tomato, while it legally sells you juice you never checked. Turn a 400-gram tin over, and you will read chopped tomatoes, tomato juice, acidity regulator, citric acid. That juice is not tomato, it is water with concentrate to color it. For whole peeled tomatoes, the rule says at least 56% must be solid fruit, while for chopped there is no floor. One factory sheet for a tin lists drained weight 240 grams, 60% fruit, 40% juice. You bought water at tomato price. Tip the tin and look inside where that gold is plastic. For years that plastic was epoxy made with bisphenol A, and BPA seeps into acid like tomatoes. Europe banned it on the 19th of December 2024. The rule took force on the 20th of January 2025, and tins were phased out by the 20th of July 2026. Britain said it would follow, then its food agency postponed enforcement from that July date, so the lining is still legal here. Walk the aisle and read the backs where Heinz chopped tomatoes list 99.8% tomatoes, chopped, juice and citric acid. A 400-gram tin of Heinz is £1.60. Napolina chopped tomatoes list 99.9% tomatoes with the same juice and acid for about £1. Waitrose chopped uses the same sentence for £1.20, and Tesco and Morrison's do too. Cereo's managing director, Cesare Concilio, says promotions and the price war drove prices down, not better fruit, check yourself. So the fix feels simple, pay more and you get more tomato. That is the neat answer, and it lets you sort the shelf by price. It is also wrong, but you can prove it with a sieve in 30 seconds. Tip a premium tin through it, then a value tin. The piles left behind look the same. The juices that run through look the same. The weight that stays looks the same. Because for chopped, premium and value often start the same. Look instead. They start the same because chopped comes from the same factories. Few plants in Italy buy paste, add water, add citric acid to fake ripeness, add calcium chloride to keep squares from melting. The fruit was too soft to sell as whole. The honest tins are different. Mutti Polpa uses only tomato and a pinch of sea salt with no citric acid. Whole plum tomatoes hold more fruit than chopped, and the cheapest unlined tins skip the plastic entirely, and those 3 are the real tomatoes. In December 2024, the BBC World Service bought 64 labeled tomato purees in Britain, Germany, and America. They sent them to Source Certain in Australia, a lab that reads soil and water inside the fruit. 17 came back, likely Chinese despite Italian flags on the front. Tesco Italian tomato puree, Asda double concentrate that says pureed Italian-grown tomatoes, and Waitrose essential tomato puree that says Italian tomato puree. The label said Italy while the soil said Xinjiang, remember that. China grows about a third of the world's tomatoes. Most come from Xinjiang, where the UN, journalists, and the US government have documented imposed forced labor of Uyghur and other Muslim minorities. 14 to 15% of the world's tomato paste comes from there. America sanctioned the state giant Kafko Tunhe in December last year. Yet tins in Britain that claim Italian still test likely Chinese. The paste is the cheapest part, and cheap paste travels furthest. The supermarkets answered in the line. Tesco, Asda, Morrison's, and Waitrose said they take the claims seriously but dispute the findings, saying their own tests showed no Chinese tomato. Lidl's supplier Giaguaro said its suppliers respect workers and it is not using Chinese. The BBC noted its tests were likely, not proven batch by batch. The tins stayed where they were while the front still said Italian. The question stayed with you at the shelf, and silence keeps it there. You might think I am stretching a trace into a scandal. Fair enough. You shop at Waitrose because it feels safer, at Asda because it feels honest, at Heinz because your parents did. You think the tin buys you distance from that field. It does not. The distance is on paper, not in the can. The supply chain rents the cheapest paste and papers it as Italian with a factory stamp near Parma. The flag is applied after the fruit is grown and they count on that. There is a way you pay. At the till you paid for water at tomato price. At the stove you pay again. A chopped tin needs 10 to 30 minutes longer to thicken than a plum tin. That is gas, that is time, that is you opening a tube of puree to rescue it. Food prices jumped 19.2% in March 2023. They fell back to 1.5% by July 2024. Your sauce still feels dear, because water never becomes sauce. The price war explains why Cirio's managing director Cesare Concilio points to promotions up 15.4% in January and fierce undercutting. That cuts margin, not water, while British Retail Consortium director Andrew Opie says sizes are on the label so it is not misleading. Technically true, you do get 400 grams, but you just get 160 grams of juice in it. The label tells you, in words you were trained to skip. Picture a kitchen light and two tins open side by side. Tip the chopped, it splashes pale thin squares swimming. Seeds and skin float like confetti. Tip the plum, it thuds deep red whole heavy. Press it with the back of a spoon and it bursts. The juice is thick, not pink water. The cook who has told Britain for years to cook this way, Hugh Fernley Whittingstall, says buy whole and crush by hand. Chopped never has the same sauce or sweetness. The difference is not romance, it is physics. Chopped tomatoes are offcuts. They were too soft to hold as plums. The factory adds calcium chloride to keep squares from melting and citric acid, because the fruit was picked before it was ripe enough. Mutti polpa does not need either, because its tomatoes are picked ripe and processed within hours. That is why its list is tomatoes and salt. It is packed in non-BPA cans, as Italy's biggest tomato brand now requires. So which three pass? First Mutti, any Mutti plum or polpa. Tomatoes, Mediterranean sea salt, sometimes basil, no juice, no acid to correct it. You pay about £1.50 for 400 grams, sometimes more, but you keep the fruit. Second, any whole plum tomato, where the shape itself forces more fruit and less juice. Even at own label, you will pay less and get more solid weight. You crush it yourself, and that is the first honest choice. Third is the trick on the shelf, and the most honest. The tins with no plastic lining at all, just tin and tomato. Test note Aldi Everyday Essentials at 39 pence. Morrison's Savers, Asda Just Essentials and Tesco Growers Harvest are sold this way. No gold epoxy, so no BPA question. You must not store leftovers in the tin, move them to glass. But in the shop that bare tin is often the cleanest choice, not the premium one. The label check takes 10 seconds. 1. Read the back. If you see tomatoes then salt and nothing else you are holding fruit. If you see tomato juice and acidity regulator citric acid, you are holding water you will need to cook off. 2. Buy whole and crush where your spoon tells the truth faster than the front. 3. Turn the tin and look for BPA free. If it does not say it, Europe's ban phases to July 2026. Britain's enforcement is postponed. That is why price felt a guide and failed. Premium did not mean pure. Budget did not mean worse. Both tins said 99.9% tomatoes, and both were telling the truth about weight, not about water. Both tins could say Italian, and both could contain paste that crossed Xinjiang. The trust was yours while the wording was theirs. Next time you lift a tin, the words that matter are not on the front. Price was the decoy. Flip it. If it says tomatoes, tomato juice, citric acid, you know you will stand longer at the hob. If it says tomatoes and salt, you bought fruit. If it says plum, you bought shape that cannot hide. If the tin is inside or says BPA free, you dodged the plastic Europe banned and Britain delayed. Where was the tomato when it was a plant? No tin has to tell you yet. You now know how to hear it.